Okay. So now I'm able to kind of circle back on that question that I was going to ask you and Clarissa too. So this kind of I remember I forgot how many years ago it was, but I remember for Miss Japan there was actually a biracial winner. She was Japanese and she was black. I'm not sure if she was African American. She was African, but I just remember that she was biracial and she was half Japanese, half black. The big controversy was because she won and she wasn't pure Japanese, a lot of individuals didn't actually accept her victory, and she got hated. She was shunned. A lot of people spoke disrespectfully about it online, and I wanted to kind of see like what are your thoughts on that because I do know that Asian cultures tend to be a little bit more segregated, almost like traditionally what we face in the States. So what are your thoughts on that situation? Because like they feel to my understanding it's almost like a feeling of losing the what is it, the purebredness, the authenticity of what the culture represents and the race. I'm using a lot of double quotes right now, I just realized that.
Clarissa's making a face like,
I don't think it's right that they judge her because she's half something else. I don't. I actually, this is the first time I've heard about this. So was she born in Japan or?
If I remember correctly, I believe so. Right, mm-hmm. Jasmine, do you know? Or Dre, do you know?
Yeah, I've heard about that story. Yeah, she was born and raised in Japan, and they're just like,
there you go.
Yeah, you look different, so you're not one of us. Even if you're born here, raised here, speak mm-hmm. the language, it doesn't matter.
Yep. Yeah. Culturally, like her entire upbringing is Japanese. Like she would be able to fit in culturally with any other, Japanese citizen. The only thing that was the X factor was, her other ethnicity within her bloodline.
Yeah. No. I think I'm like happy for her for winning and stuff, like I think she, just because she's biracial or like doesn't look like everyone else doesn't mean that she's not representing her country and doing them proud. And I think she is.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, because I'll say even in a more modern approach, like Naomi Osaka, she's biracial as well. And I don't think she's experienced as much backlash, but she has spoken out about like some things that she would get in terms of representing both of her backgrounds. Like now that she is like a very famous athlete, she was very active during like the Black Lives Matter protest, the whole George Floyd situation, but she identifies strongly with both of her ethnicities. So it's like, in addition to her saying that I'm a proud Black woman, she'll also say I'm a proud Asian woman. And it's like, it's interesting to kind of see how she has to forcibly kind of double down on both ends to let both sides know, like, I'm one of you, instead of both sides readily wanting to accept her.
Well, so to go off of another thing about like the, half Japanese, half African, what's her name again? Sorry.
Naomi Osaka, the most recent one?
The other girl.
Let me search it.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good.
Research. I'm kidding.
Yeah, there it is. What's up, man?
Okay, so it was Ariana Miyamoto.
Okay, yeah, like Ariana, like I'm an anthropologist and I deal a lot with like culture stuff, and I feel like culture is not just about like your race. It's about like where you were born, who was around you, like your background and everything. And I think it's good that she did win, and it's awesome.
So should we give like a formal shout out? Like Clarissa's proud of you, Mrs. Ariana. If she ever tunes into the podcast. If she tunes into the podcast, we can absolutely just show her like all the support we're giving her.
I'm rooting for you.
So one thing I want to pivot to is like, so I know we've all kind of like traveled around, whether it's different states, different countries, different continents. So overall, has the experience been different overseas than you've actually experienced in the States? And like, what are some good differences? What are some bad differences? Like, what has your experience been, both within and outside the States? Ooh, hard question.
Well, I haven't traveled outside of the states, so I mean, maybe I could speak a little more onto the in the United States. I mean, I've traveled to a lot of the South, and it's just very interesting to me. And this is being from Kansas, that how segregated things are still till this day. Like, I mean, it's just a shock to me that we still have to be segregated between races, and we can't intermingle with each other. I don't know what I can't fathom the issues that people white, and I think it is a lot more on the Caucasian white side of the issues. And I think it's pure ignorance. And I told you in the past, I'm not here to educate nobody that is Caucasian or white, unless my family members. So I just think that a lot of it has to do with, kind of not understanding each other and not wanting to understand. Like, you just kind of want to go off of what your prejudices are, which is totally inaccurate. But, it's just crazy. So that's just my opinion on that.
Okay. I definitely do think it comes with the inherent biases, like you said, prejudice as well, of ignorant people not willing to overcome them. And that's the biggest thing that, it hinders our growth as a nation, since we are a very special nation and having so many different races, ethnicities, cultures within our country. That's the one thing that's kind of slowing progression. It's not slowed. It hasn't come to like a standstill, but I will say there is an area of opportunity that we all could improve on and start learning about one another, knowing the history and really embracing it. So I can definitely agree. Like my dad, he's actually from the South, and yeah, I've definitely heard a lot of stories of post Jim Crow era, how things are different. He's from Louisiana, so a lot of that has not died out completely. And even to be completely honest, like me being from Vegas, a much more diverse city, when I was younger, going to the South, I would still have to be on eggshells to a certain extent. And like there was definitely awkward looks. It's definitely there. And I see exactly what you mean. And I've witnessed it myself, unfortunately. And I think even what we've seen over recent years, in terms of like various marches, various discussions online, so on and so forth, that, there is a still inherent hatred out there. It's up to us to combat it and kind of like move away from it. But it's something that we have to be aware of as well. So I'm kind of glad that it's brought to the light and we realize that it's more common than uncommon. Because I was definitely guilty of it. I thought that things were much better in terms of like unity, in terms of all the different ethnicities and everything. But I think 2020 and the pandemic really did open my eyes personally. I don't know if y'all had similar thoughts on that, but it looks like Clarissa. Yeah, go ahead. Clarissa.
Oh no, I was just saying, yeah, I agree. Like, especially after like well, not everyone, but with all the media showing a lot of like Asian hate, just because of COVID, like, and they generalize it to everyone. It came from China, but it doesn't mean that everyone,
exactly. From the entire continent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because, like, in America, they look at Asian people and they just put them in a box and they're just like, you're just all Asian.
Yeah.
And then you go to other countries and it's like, you're not, you're not one of us. Or, even within all the Asian countries, they have things that they don't like about the other one. And, I hear my grandma's rants all the time about these people and that people. And I'm like, well, you guys are all Asian, but, they don't look at it like that. They're not really united like that. But in the United States, they put all the Asians into a box and they're like, okay, you're all this.
Oh, you're Filipino, you're Asian. Oh, you're Chinese, you're Asian. That's just you.
Oh, yeah. It's a very American thing of us, because we're all very lazy. So we just like that over generalization, just to have that big box instead of the actual categories. Yeah. But I think that's a very good point, though. Like, so would you say, like Jasmine too, like with your experience, do you feel like we need to actually start being more educated with each other, knowing all the different backgrounds and kind of removing those categories, those overall categories?
I think it's like you don't have to sit there and study literally every little, all the cultures in great detail and all that stuff, But I do think just getting rid of the assumptions, right? Like if you just don't assume anything, then that saves you a lot of, deconstructing that you have to do within yourself. You just look at someone and you're like, okay, I'm not going to assume anything until they tell me, about themselves. Like when people look at me and they don't know what I am exactly, and they start assuming, oh, are you this? Are you that? Are you that? And I'm just like, I like to, humor them. So I'm like, yeah, I'm that, even though I'm not. But, like just let people tell you about themselves or their culture. And then, that's how you learn, is from listening to other people instead of, because you can research all these things all you want and educate yourself. At the end of the day, everyone has their own individual upbringing, which impacts their cultural experience, right? Like we can't just research African Americans and all this stuff and assume that every African American thinks the same way, So I just think just getting rid of trying to assume everything.
Yeah, all the assumptions, the overgeneralizations, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just got off the clock, just got on my chill. Called on my homie Brent to see what be the deal. What you trying to do? I'm just trying to heal. Hella floated, never bloated's what I'm trying to feel. Hop in the whip and